Hey guys, what's going on? I am actually at a tiny house extravaganza. Look at this. It is Tiny Digs, and I'm actually staying in one of their tinies right here. It's called the Merlot. However, we are going to talk to the owner herself that has all of these tinies that you can actually rent. But we're gonna get into each single one of them, how they got started, where they're going with things, why they're doing things, how they got permits for this, because we're in the middle of Portland right now. So how did they do all of this? I can't wait to kind of share this with everybody. Super excited. Let's check this out. If you guys are new to the channel, what I do here is a lot of tiny house living just stuff. Also DIY van building or van life related tours, tiny home tours, unique style living tours, or whatever it may be. I like to share that with you guys. I do a lot of how-to stuff, a lot of testimonial things. I bring in experts when needed, solar stuff, anything of that nature, I will do on my channel. I also do some fun and travel vlogging too, so check all of that out. But let's get over to Pam and see what she's up to. Hi, Pam.
Hi, welcome to Tiny Digs Hotel here in Portland, Oregon.
Wow, look at you. You're like all ready for me. It's like you've done this before.
A few times.
Like we said at the top of the video, 9 tinies on property, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to be staying in one of them, which is what we're going to actually talk about first, the first one.
Yeah.
Which is the Merlot.
Yeah, you're in the new Merlot tiny house, specifically designed to play off all the wineries here in the city of Portland and in the Willamette Valley Gorge, the Columbia River Gorge. We've done a lot of little custom features in that. It was so fun to do.
It's really, really pretty. I think your smallest? Square footage wise?
Yes,
yeah.
Because it has no loft in it. People love it though, it's really cozy. Some nights we just run out of those hotel rooms that don't have a loft because there's certain people that have mobility issues or, you know, when they drink those couple glasses of wine, they really don't want to go up and down stairs in the night. That one really fits the bill and rounds out our collection here at Tiny Digs.
I think it was 140 square feet, just that one alone. And it's also right there, right as you walk in your entire property here.
Right.
Which is bringing me to the next question. How did you get all of these tinies inside of one, like, I guess, square block of space in the middle of Portland? We're not, like, out in the woods.
No. We have over 50 restaurants and brew pubs in a 10-minute walk of the hotel. People love that. You know, Portland is the mecca for coming to enjoy food. We have some vegan guests that come back again and again to get their vegan fix. Lots of different breweries and wineries and
I think
fun little shops too.
I think Portland is number 1 or number 2 in regards to breweries.
I think so too. I think so too.
So how did you get this lot? Like, what did you do? Is there permits involved?
Mega permits.
Okay.
You know, Portland, we don't have sales tax in the state of Oregon, so your permitting fee is where they get a lot of their money from. Lots of permits and some surprise permits that I'd never even heard of before, like SDCs, and that's site development fees. That was different than just your plain water, sewer, and electric. And we are classified, we're on a commercial piece of land, because people often ask, how can you have so many tiny houses? I can't get a community going where I'm at. Well, we're not a full-time living community, and that's quite honestly why we did Tiny Digs Hotel, because at the time when we thought up this idea 6-7 years ago, very, very hard. There's more and more communities out there now, but it was so hard to get a permit to do a community where people lived full-time. The city said, yes, it's got to be a commercial piece of land, not residential, because we weren't living full-time. We needed to find one that was kind of a mixed-use commercial piece of property. So we fall under a lot of different little umbrellas here. Actually classified as an RV park, a non-motorized RV park. We also fall under some hotel laws, because we're a hotel.
Sure.
So we're registered with the state and taxation bureaus as a hotel. Lots of permits. They required us to be fully paved, which I didn't quite understand until I started looking at the tax laws. City then collects money on every square foot of rain runoff that you have on your pavement. So it was like, oh, they want us to be paved so they can collect more taxes. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But we would have rather had a lot of green space. But over the years, our greenery here has grown and grown and grown. And so it's getting, you know, cozier in that sense. They also required us to be fenced, and I was not in agreement with that, and I don't know why they don't give you reasons. Now I'm kind of glad it's fenced, because there's a lot of people that want to looky-loo. If the gate's open, people walk up and get on the porches where a guest is staying and start looking in their windows. So I'm kind of glad now that it's fenced. People feel very secure here. They have to have their own code to get in the gate.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that, like, it's a lot of security here. There's, you guys have a great fencing.
Yeah.
We're gonna move to the next tiny you have.
Okay.
We're going right around your roundabout here. If that's okay.
Your little circle.
Your little circle. I actually thought this next one was gonna be my favorite. And it's called the Modern, and I'm a single male in my 30s. You mentioned that most single male in their 30s really like this one. Tell me a little bit about it.
It's very popular with, if a single guy is traveling here, especially it seems like the business crowd, that's the house that they will pick. The woman lets the guy pick out which house they stay in. That again, a couple may stay in there. It's only for 2 people. There's just 1 queen bed. All our tinies have a queen bed as the primary. Some of them have pull-out couches in them.
Yep.
Some of the couches are big enough for 2 people. Some are big enough just for 1. But in that particular, the Modern house, that again is one of our tinies with the bed on the main floor.
Yep.
So people don't have to go up and down the steps in the night. There are steps in there to a little loft. That's what kind of makes it unique. The loft floor is a huge sheet of plexiglass, and I think the thing weighs about 700 pounds. We worked with an engineer to make sure we had the proper beamage going across to hook the guide wires to. It's a floating plexiglass. I don't know. I think it's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick.
Oh, it's pretty
floor.
thick. I was up there, and it held me just fine, and I'm a big dude.
You could have a dance party up there. It's very secure. It's got a really large shower in that house.
It's really nice. It's open.
Yeah,
it is
very
really
open.
open feeling.
Very open.
You can see into the shower, not in a risque way,
Right.
but you can see inside, you can see out of it.
Yep.
I actually, when I was in there doing some B-roll, I really, really fell in love with it. I knew I was going to, and I really did think it was going to be my favorite, but turns out it wasn't.
Yeah.
This is, and we are going to skip this one. We're going to
Yes,
go to the
we'll
one
come back.
next to it.
Yeah.
And that's for obvious reasons, because we're going to tour this entire one. Before we go to the next one, who does all these buildings? Like, you know.
Well, our son and my husband and I, we design all the houses, and we build them all and then decorate them all. I get the fun process of decorating.
You get the interior decorating.
I do.
I was going to also mention, if people haven't noticed already, every single one of your tinies are different themes.
Yes.
However, they're all extremely, like, detail oriented. Every single one of your tinies, and I said this to you earlier, was just, I don't want to say over the top, but it's ridiculously thought out. Is that all you're doing?
We like to carry that theme through.
Okay.
And right down to even the woodwork trim, the doors, some of the doors in our houses, like this one here, some of them are custom just to fit that particular
Sure.
house. When we thought of the idea of doing a tiny house hotel, I wanted it to be different. Not just, you don't want to stay away from the idea of just going to a box. And I did have several builders that said, why are you going through that hassle of every roof line here is different. Every exterior has different sheeting on it. We wanted to kind of showcase different ceiling heights and looks. So when our guests came, or even people that were doing a tour, because sometimes we do tours, when people would come to stay here, they could get a feel as to what they might like for their future tiny house. So all the roof lines are a bit different from one another, or have different sheeting and such on them, and even the exterior of the houses, and just to make it fun.
All right, so next up is, like I said, we're skipping this one. We're going to go right to the bamboo.
Yeah.
Bamboo is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I stepped into it and I was not expecting it.
It's very different. It's a darker paneling in there, then with lighter grass cloth mixed in on the upper or mid section of the house, and then the ceiling is grass cloths too, with bamboo beams across it, and it was just really fun for us to build and to create. Our son, who was or is one of the builders of the tiny houses, he really liked Asian stuff growing up, And I really liked Asian stuff. I had little Asian, little miniature furniture and dolls when I was a kid. I've been into tiny stuff since way back. And so I had these little things, and now he has them because I live tiny now. We wanted to do an Asian themed one, and quite honestly, each one of the houses here at Tiny Digs gives kind of a nod to the history of the West Coast, Oregon or Portland, in some way or another. We had a lot of Asian people here in the United States, especially on the West Coast, come to help us build the railroads. And so each house is a little bit of a nod to some nationality or some industry that happened here.
Wow, I did not even realize that. I mean, I know the last one we're going to get to briefly, we'll talk about that, but interesting. That's really fascinating. I did like the bamboo a lot. It's very, we can say it's Asian infused or Asian not themed, but like inspired. Asian inspired, yes.
Yeah. The Tanzu Steps are in there.
Tanzu Steps, look at you, unbelievable.
Those we custom built ourselves because I couldn't find any reasonable enough. I mean, they can be phenomenal pieces of furniture. They can be $10,000 and $20,000 just for those, the more decorative and ornate that they become. I wanted a Soshi screen panel in there of some sort, but those are a threefold, like, dressing screen, and how do you fit one of those in a tiny house? I just couldn't get my wits wrapped around it, so I bought one, ripped it apart, and took one panel of it and made the bathroom door out of it.
I see.
And that's a sliding door, just like this door. And so we made a frame, inserted the Soshi screen panel in there, put plexiglass on both sides to keep that nice rice paper that the Soshi screens are made out of.
So before we go to, I believe, the cottages next, people may be asking, and I get this question all the time, what does it cost, mostly for van building, but give me maybe a ballpark on what it would be to convert, an entire tiny. I know your eyes lit up on me. Obviously each of one of your tinies is going to range drastically in price.
Yes.
I think, I don't know which one your most expensive one is, but if I had to guess, we're standing in it.
Actually not. The cottage is because of that roof line, and you'll see in the picture.
Oh my God, that is true.
It's very
dramatic.
Yes.
I don't know how else to put that other than like the dramatic lines of the roof line is phenomenal. Not just the inside components, but your exterior shells are going to cost quite a bit of money. Want to touch on price? You can, but if you don't worry about it.
Yeah, people ask that all the time, and the cost of wood, depending on which state. I'm from Michigan originally. And my son is back there now doing construction, and he said wood has quadrupled in Michigan. Here, it's probably gone up maybe double to triple, but not quadrupled. But in Michigan, it has quadrupled in pricing. Right now, to say a price on how much it would cost to build from scratch a tiny house, prices have really jumped this past year.
Vans too. Vans, tinies, anything of that nature. Building out even my Jeep, even though I'm using mostly aluminum, all have skyrocketed in price. So if I had to guess, it's 100,000 plus. Could be less depending on materials or systems, but
builders.
And the builders, correct. You're saving obviously a lot doing it yourself. Doing a DIY. The labor in itself is going to be at least $150, $200 an hour. Everybody needs to keep that in mind, I think, when they do a tiny and van build. Now, the cottage, I wouldn't say my least favorite. It's just the most detailed.
Right.
It is. I actually think it is the most detailed. You have little ornaments, like tiny little ornaments in there. Wow. You went way on this one.
Well, we did a little decorating, as you can see in here. A little decorating for the holidays.
Is that what your theme was there? Like more of a Victorian theme, antique, I think there was stained glass in there. Is that really, did I get that right? Yeah, okay.
Stained glass and leaded glass pieces.
Wow.
3 different leaded glass pieces and 2 stained glass pieces.
Those are not cheap.
No. But I love to go to yard sales and estate sales, and in Portland here we have a number of repurposed material places like the Rebuild Center, and I love to go to those places and see what kind of bargains or unique items that I can find.
Sure. Honestly, it's a really, really nice, like I could only imagine what that shell looks like with it empty.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I love the cottage. All right, so next to the cottage, we got the beach.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Pleasantly surprised when I walked into the beach.
Yeah.
Very pleasantly surprised. Again, detail oriented. I even saw an oar up as a railing. I'm from the Northeast. I'm from the Boston area, and that house, reminded me of Cape Cod.
Yes.
And
the exterior of that.
absolutely, and it's funny because West Coast oceanfront houses are way different than the Northeast oceanfront houses, as you know. Seemed like a very Northeast type of feel to it, or even like Carolinas, or I guess East Coast in general kind of feel. So really, really well thought out and done on that one. And it was like, it kind of touched home for me.
The gray cedar shake siding on it. And
unbelievable.
The design of it, yeah.
Before we move to the next one, do you know which one you're, of course you do. Which one's your oldest?
The oldest one is the beach. That was the first house that we built.
Okay.
And,
I'm hitting these questions oddly right at the right time.
Spot on today. Because we hadn't talked about that, but the beach was the one that we started with first. And what I tell people when you're building a tiny house, don't get really fixed. You have to be kind of flexible when you're building a tiny house. Don't get totally fixed, because the interior of that house, when we started it, had a whole different design. And as then we stood in it, reconfigured how the floor space was going to go and how that was going to look on the interior. When you're building a big residential stick-built house, you have feet to deal with. In a tiny house, you have inches to deal with in your design work. So you have to be flexible, because you might purchase something and then go, oh my gosh, I forgot this part of the wall is a little thicker here. Now I'm an inch off in my design. And this piece that I bought's not going to work unless I bump this or bump this around the room and to make something work.
Next to the beach is, I'm going to screw this name up because I don't want to be politically incorrect. So why don't you give that one a shot?
The Gypsy Wagon.
The Gypsy Wagon, okay.
That's in our back corner and it's kind of secluded and off by itself. All the houses are just 10 feet apart, but that one's kind of bumped in the back corner. So people like it. It's pretty cozy. And people that like boho stuff, they're really into that.
Very boho.
Yes.
Very,
boho.
yes, bohemian, I guess. Yes. Very well thought out. Very zen in there.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Cannot go wrong with that one.
Again, is another one of our houses with the queen bed on the main. There is no loft in that house either.
Nope.
That's the third out of all our 9 houses. There's the 3 that have the bed.
It's a step up, but it's fine.
There's an ottoman at the foot of the bed to step up into that bed, because it is kind of high, because the hot water heater is hidden underneath that big compartment underneath. Curtains are made out of saris from India, recycled. Some women have, I forget what they're called, the little women's industry workshop businesses. And so from Etsy, these curtains came from over there, and they're, recycled saris that just made the perfect curtain.
We got the Gypsy Wagon. We have the barn, I believe. Yes, the barn. And I thought that was going to be my favorite. I went from modern to the barn down to what we're standing in now, the cabin. The barn I fell in love with. What a phenomenal split door idea. The barn is just I wouldn't say narrow, but it seems narrow, but very spacious.
Right. And again, that's the trick with the roof lines. As you come here and look at all the different roof lines, you'll see that one feels more spacious inside, as does the cottage, because of the design of that too. But when that roof line pops up, and it's a barn roof look, it's got that slanted sides, and so you get a lot more headroom in there. In regards to the door, it's another one of 2 custom-built doors are in that house. That split door on the front, my husband and son built that from scratch, because we were on a strict budget here when we built these, and to buy one of those split doors like that, they're called a Dutch door.
Okay.
And we're of Dutch heritage, so that fit right in. We said, okay, we'll have a Dutch door in here. And they built it from scratch.
Wow.
And then there's a sliding door. Sliding doors are great in tiny houses.
Yes, they are.
They're such space saving. I highly recommend them. So the bathroom door is a sliding door there. And it's made out of old pallet wood. stained different colors.
I did see that, yeah.
And I saw you had been in there this morning kind of moving
I
it
did
around.
move it around.
Yeah.
You caught me.
Yeah.
Very, very well done. And obviously went with the barn theme red on the outside.
Yeah,
Lovely.
certainly,
A lovely
yes.
touch. Now, this one is obviously near and dear to your heart, the next one.
Yeah, the Arthur.
I would love for you to talk about it because this kind of is, before we go to the Finlandia, talk about the Arthur and why it is special to you. And really, again, in my top, I guess, 9 of my favorites. It is a really, really nice, just built out and thought out theme. I almost said van. Wow, tiny house.
Our Caboose tiny house, it's the yellow Caboose, bright, bright yellow. It's called the Arthur. Arthur was my grandfather.
Yeah.
And he was kind of my mentor, sidekick. I was his sidekick as I was growing up. My father passed away in a car accident when I was 2. So he was around a lot when I was growing up, and I hung out with him a lot. And we would run up to the railroad tracks to look at the trains when they go by and what color's the caboose going to be, how many cars, we'd count all the cars. And he had the little miniature trains in the basement of his house with the whole village set up. Tinies again. I was just like so enamored with that whole setup. But as little kids, we couldn't touch it. We could watch the train go around. But I was so enamored because it had these little tiny villages and all these little people, and the trains would go through a mountainside and smoke would puff out of them. Named that after him. And he was an entrepreneur himself. He had several businesses. And so I think I got my entrepreneurial desire from him, and also my desire for trains from him.
So amazing. And what better place to have a train in the city of Portland?
Yeah.
You hear it at night.
Yep.
There's trains everywhere in this freaking city.
Yeah.
Caboose, I guess you'd like to call it, or Arthur.
The Arthur.
Really, really thought out and well done. Again, a very spacious, another spacious tiny. Again, that comes down to the roof lines, like you said. I am intrigued by all of this. This is amazing.
Some of the design tricks when you're doing a tiny house, if your door is at one end or one side, if you put on the opposite side another window opposing that, it actually draws the eye through that space and outside. So it opens up the house more. It makes it seem bigger. And that's one of the tricks with the Arthur, because of course you come in the front door, which is on the end, because the Caboose had a door at the front and the back. And so then in the bathroom, in the back side of the Arthur, there's another window door, and then the little deck to step out on, just like on the back of a train.
And then the last but not least, you just started the Finlandia? Am I saying that right? The Finlandia,
yes.
which is a shout out to
the Finnish community here in Portland.
Excellent.
And in Astoria, Oregon, which is one of the biggest Finnish communities in the whole United States. Kind of a shout out to that community and that nationality here in the Portland community.
Really?
Plus I have a good friend who's from Finland too, so.
Really well done. Oh, there you go. Awesome. I can't wait to see the design on that.
Yeah.
I might have to come back and just stay in it, just because.
And video that one too.
Video that. We'll do a whole tour on it.
Yeah.
So everybody, thank you to Pam, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
for coming and seeing Tiny Digs Hotel here in Portland, and we'd love to have you come stay with us. If you want to book a reservation, just go to our website, tinydigshotel.com.
tinydigshotel.com.
Yeah.
Guys, also, if you want to see a more of a detailed tour, check out, or want to wait until tomorrow, or if you're watching this after the fact, please check out the next Tiny Digs, again, detailed tour of the cabin.
Yes.
We're going to give a full-on tour of the cabin, inside and out. And we're inside of it right now, but we're going to go into some details. Thank you so much to Pam. And if you guys, again, tinydigshotel.com. Also, Tiny Digs Hotel on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, thank you guys.